Well, souls, what song has your life been singing this week? If you remember on Sunday, we talked a lot about this idea that if our lives could sing a song, that sometimes they would sound like that really high, upbeat, song of joy at the dance party song, like right, like, and sometimes it'd be more the humdrum of life, boom, 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 and other times it would be like a funeral dirge. But that so often in our lives, there's this progression from one to the next, or maybe back around. And so often there's actually these moments, these seasons where it feels like it's a cacophony. It's the mushing together of all of those different songs at the same time. And for me, this week has been that cacophony, as I have heard from many of you and watched in many of your lives, that same mushing together of different songs, of different sounds that don't seem to fit together, but yet this is what we call life. For me, I've watched as one of our beloved at All Souls went into the ICU, and there was concern that this was going to be the end of his life. I'm watching as another family in our midst is grieving the loss of a beloved sister and preparing for a funeral this weekend. I heard today while working the food pantry that one that we serve is no longer with us. I'm watching and experiencing so much of the pain of those of you who have loved ones like I do, who have COVID, who just got it and are now in isolation, or who have had it for a couple weeks and it doesn't seem to be going away. If anything, it seems to be having increased lingering effects that are challenging us to the core of our beings. I've watched as many of us have wrestled with financial woes. Where am I going to get enough money to pay for my bills? As a church, we're wrestling with very similar questions and concerns. And what does it look like for us to love one another in the middle of that? But I want you to know that I've also in these moments where it just seems so dark, right, and it feels so overwhelming, I've also watched as God has shown up in ridiculously amazing ways. It doesn't mean that every time we've prayed a prayer and asked God to be close that he has answered the way that we wanted him to. But to watch as he shapes a family that tragically lost a brother. To see the way that God is leaning in and being close. To watch the way that even in the isolation of a COVID positive reality, Jesus is making it abundantly clear that you're never alone. Watching and seeing that when we go to the ICU and pray for someone who the doctors and nurses were saying, hey, we're not sure, this looks like it might be the end, and whose wife was distraught, and yet to watch as Jesus drew near, and as this very same man is now about to be discharged from the hospital. To see the many ways, and I can go on, right? The many ways that Jesus, in the middle of the darkness, is bringing light. This is what we talked about, our mission being All Souls Community Church, to know him even in the darkness, for even the darkness is as light to him. He's the one who brings light into the darkness, for he is the light. To know him, no matter how dark it feels in our lives, and then to make him known, not simply as those who reflect the light like my face currently is, who tell the glory and show the glory of God in our lives by telling about what we've seen him do, just like I just did, but by actually going and being the hands and feet, by being those who don't simply reflect the glory, but the glory kind of comes out of. Jesus says, because I'm the light of the world, you now are the light of the world, because the same spirit that's in me is now the same spirit that's in you. Also, Community Church, are you knowing God in the middle of your week? And are you making him known? I'm sharing just a couple of examples with you of what's happened in the last 3 days of my life. Because what I want you to see, and I'm hoping will encourage you, is there's a God who wants us to know him. Even when it feels like it's super dark out, he wants us to know him even there, that we might know his light, his life, his fullness, his love, his joy, his amazing answers to prayer, and sometimes what feels like silence, but is actually invitation to come and lay your burdens down, to come and simply breathe in his presence and rest there, to come and taste freshly that he's good, even when it seems like it's really dark. What song are you singing this week, All Souls? What song is your life singing? If, like me, it's been a cacophony, can I encourage you, friends? Take the time to look. Take the time to be still and just let Jesus show you what he sees, and let him show you what he's up to. And then pray bold prayers, that all of us might be able to rejoice as we reflect the wonder of who he is, as we know him and make him known. God be close to you tonight.